Hey guys, welcome back to my channel where unicorns are real and so are our opinions. Blaire White is a transgender woman who also happens to be a conservative influencer who I personally consider to be a shock jock. Just listen to any one of her videos and you'll hear her talk about how she's not your average trans woman and doesn't follow the way everyone else thinks or what they say. However, she does just that, but in a different way, by following every talking point the political right wing created and more. Blaire mostly makes videos about other trans women who don't transition like she did or does, making everything political, but what made me a fan of hers in the past year or so was her calling out predators and speaking on a few topics that most people either overlooked or were too afraid to speak on due to fear of being labeled homophobic or transphobic. Some might say the problem with Blaire White is that she doesn't do her research and instead is just looking for validation from the political right wing. For example, when she accused a trans athlete for competing against cisgender women when physically the athlete never competed against said women. By the way, that's just one example of when Blaire White gets it wrong. What do I truly believe is the real problem with Blaire White? It's quite simple actually. The huge problem with Blaire White is that she is too worried about being loved by the very people who condemn and ridicule her very existence. And what that does is not only damage her credibility, but it validates the lies and misconceptions people already have about the LGBTQ+ community, especially transgender individuals, whether she believes so or not. Blaire White is so involved in being controversial and not being labeled a SJW that she can't see past her own ignorance and instead tries to make it seem like she knows best. There's a big problem with this frame of thinking because it's impossible to know best or know more when you have chosen a side. Since she fights blindly on a side that has proven time and time again to not value people like herself, she's already proven that she's untrustworthy. I personally hate politics because to me, it just gives people reasons to be either black or white and kill for it. The truth is, there is far more gray people than there are left or right, although the news media gives us the illusion that that's not true. See, the problem isn't that Blaire White is a right-winger, because the fact is left or right, both sides think the same way about their ideas. It's that she's willing to contest everything the other side has to say with lies and misinformation, instead of seeing the world for what and how it truly is. I've said it once, but I'll say it again. You can't be right about everything if you're only on one side. It's just not possible. I don't hate Blaire. In fact, I enjoy a lot of her takes on a few videos, but what made me recently unsubscribe to her was how willing she is to throw everyone who doesn't think like she does or agree with what she does under the bus. And I'm not saying it's not okay to voice your opinion. I mean, hello, it's exactly what I'm doing here. But there's a difference between your opinion of someone and you creating a negative narrative with misinformation simply because the commentator attacked your side of the aisle. I mean, if you don't believe that she is out here pandering to a side rather than being truly neutral and subjective to all aspects, because let's face it, a lot of conservatives say they're conservative, but can't really explain why, then I would like to refer you to the time when Blaire White went on TV with a bunch of ignorant, hateful men and women who just outright talked about how they do not validate her or her experience, and she was the nicest person. It made me feel like I was in the Twilight Zone.
You know, how many kids saw Blaire White, giving one of her videos? I know Trump is a cash cow. I know people love to talk about him to get their popularity, but how many children saw her and looked at her and said, you know what, she looks really good. I could do that too, and started transitioning. And we should not be giving a spotlight to or a platform to people who operate in a lifestyle where 40% of them end up attempting, eventually. 1 in 4 children growing up struggling with LGBTQ gender dysphoria end up with depression.
I let you speak.
The best thing you can do for us is grow out your mustache and tell people not to live like you. That is the best thing that you can do to help.
Yeah, minority groups don't necessarily win elections now. Over time, they very well could.
Can I just let me move to Lauren?
900,000 votes. Yeah. 900,000 people nationally came out from the LGBTQ community and voted for President Trump. We've done the math. It was absolutely not beneficial for all the money we spent when we could have been going after the working class, the white working class, the Christian working class, the white working class, the Christian working class.
Overall, I know people make mistakes, but unfortunately, Blaire White has been pretty consistent with her mistakes, and it all points to pandering. It's not to say she doesn't believe in everything she says, but when you contradict yourself that much and just regurgitate propaganda used to demonize anyone who isn't a conservative or on the right, then one has to call it out and hold you to task. Period.